welcome to the companion podcast to Hope in Action. We're so glad that you decided to listen in a little bit more with our guest today. You heard a little bit earlier from her, Tammy Hannah, which I like to say is the heart and soul of origami. This is your brainchild. It has been an incredible 3-decade journey for you. How did you decide this is what your passion was? Maybe as a young woman, tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I always love an opportunity to share my story, so thank you. So I am a little sister of my brother Jeff, who was born with cerebral palsy.
Okay.
He's 3 years older than me. And so growing up in a family of 4, I was the sibling that went with my mom and dad and Jeff to all of his therapy sessions. So I was able to witness his occupational, his physical, and his speech therapies. And, it wasn't all rosy and it was hard. And there were things that Jeff needed to do in his therapies. It was really hard for him. But beyond those hard points, he ended up meeting goals. For someone who wasn't supposed to be able to walk ever, was able to progress from a wheelchair to a walker to then using a cane later in life. And as his baby sister, I was just so inspired. And it was more the learning and the reflection back to my childhood of recognizing that it's a really special opportunity. It's a blessing for me to have somebody in my family with such a significant disability. And I was passionate about being able to help others achieve what my brother was able to achieve. And I recognized that the family unit, the resources that we surrounded him with, is really what helped propel his success, which is another reason it's so important at Origami. We love family involvement. Come to every session, please. That's the type of environment and the philosophy of care that we uphold at Origami. But really that inspired me to become an occupational therapist. So I went to Saginaw Valley, got my degree in occupational therapy. My final clinical rotation, I literally drew a number out of a hat, because that's how you determine where you're going. It could be in-state, out-of-state, and I drew Origami Rehab out of the hat. And at that time, it was half origami, half MSU, 20 hours at each location. And I thought, it's not bad. It's only an hour commute from my home. It's brain injury, because it was only brain injury back. That's how origami started.
Right.
We've diversified way more than then. But I landed origami, thought I was going to be there 12 weeks, and here I am 26 years later.
Unbelievable. That's great. But it's destiny, right? Don't
It
you
is.
think?
I fully believe that.
Yeah. And your brothers, when you talked earlier about perseverance, and seeing that in him and knowing with the right support, with the right grounding, the right encouragement, you can exceed expectations.
Absolutely.
And you've seen that in some of your clients, your patients. And give me a couple stories that that really you have seen. And I have friends who have come through, and I know, I see them now. I was golfing with one last night. So what a testament to what you do. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yes.
I love those stories, and we have so many of them, really. I always go to, there's such a range in who we serve. Going to my roots of when I first started at Origami, and like I said, it was primarily only serving adults with traumatic brain injury. And so I think about the stories even when I was still practicing as an occupational therapist, when, there was a young woman, a mother of 2, who was catastrophically injured in a car accident. And in the hospital, she was in a coma for at least 7 months. And her family was told that she would probably be in a vegetative state, and they did not give up. They were pushing. They were advocating. They were like the pit bulls that were calling the insurance company and saying, our loved one needs to continue to receive therapy. She made her way when she woke up pretty fresh from a 7-month coma. She came to Origami, wheeled in the door of one of our residential homes in her hospital bed, and wasn't able to feed herself, really wasn't able to talk. Wasn't really able to even sit up on the edge of the bed. Long story short, a long rehab journey, but perseverance.
Months, years,
Years. In being able to progress to a point where she was able to, and we celebrate the little things we talked about, right?
Yes,
you
every
have
little thing.
to, because therapy and rehab, a journey for somebody so catastrophically injured, we always say it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And so you have to keep your resilience. You have to surround yourself with people who are, motivated and will push you on the days you don't feel like hopeful.
Yeah.
Hands down hopeful. And so, long story short, she progressed through years of therapy to the point where she was able to use an adapted van to be able to drive herself around in the community, help parent her children. Now her communication remains limited, but she has strategies and she embraces those strategies. She can get her point across, no problem. So that's a story of that's where someone may have ruled out the potential, yet that's all we could see when she came to us, particularly when you had such perseverance, resilience, and devotion to what needed to happen. All the way to we've had individuals with maybe they're a physician or an attorney, high level, critical thinking, average scores on a standardized evaluation aren't good enough. They need to be above, and not able to do their work. So we had a gentleman who was a veterinarian all of his life, later in his stage, close to retirement, but wasn't ready to retire yet, had a stroke. And we were able to work with him on an outpatient basis and help rehab him back to being able to help oversee the surgeries occurring at a practice. So pretty substantial progress that can be in a matter of a couple days or a couple years or even longer. It all varies. And so lots of stories. We could chat all day.
I know, but I like the two that you gave because they're you can see one that was very long, but yet someone that just needed that little extra help because they weren't ready yet.
Exactly.
Right? And you for someone that was catastrophically injured, you want them with us. We want you to be here with us and we will help you. And that's what you did for that family. And so they still had their wife, their mom, their aunt, their sister. It's really important. It's important work that you do. And the reputation of origami is just very high. So just keep doing what you're doing.
It's all about the team. I'm telling you, I get to work every single day with some really cool people. And those people are motivated and optimistic and full of hope. And you have to. That's the style of the person that thrives in an environment where there's so many different individuals that we have an honor of serving. So yes, thank you for that. And I just have to give praise to the team because we couldn't do what we do as long as we've done it without the team, all hands on deck.
So what if someone is watching this and maybe knows they're struggling a little bit and they need just some encouragement, some hope, because it is Disability Pride Awareness Month and we want to make sure that people are seen. And how would you encourage them?
Sometimes it's a matter of just picking up the phone and having that initial conversation. It's amazing how many times you hear the duration of time that goes by when somebody struggles and holds it themselves versus reaching out and recognizing there are so many people who are eager to help, support, and guide and connect, whatever it might be that they need. And so picking up the phone, reaching out, knowing there's organizations like Origami Rehab where even if you're not necessarily looking for our worst services, we know all sorts of resources in the community and surrounding communities that might be a benefit. So that's a part of, I think, the nonprofit way I like to say of it's all about the community, what the individuals need, and connecting and linking them with the right services. So picking up the phone, calling, emailing, whatever, our website, our social media, get in touch with anybody who's in this community like Origami Rehab who may be able to take the next step for you and help you along that journey.
Because people they don't always know what the resources are, but if you can be the touch point for
Yes,
that, right? And
absolutely.
then you have all the resources because maybe there's a fit for them that is in a different area.
I think that is the hardest and most confusing part, right? If you're not in the industry working with so many different nonprofits and the resources for the disability community, you don't have that knowledge, or it's overwhelming, right? Maybe they know of a lot, but they don't know where to start or who that call needs to be made to. And I would say call any of them. Call any of them, and they should be able to connect you where you need to go. You don't need to get through any of this on your own.
And sometimes when people are around people that have a disability, what is the etiquette? How do you make someone feel comfortable when they have a challenge? Is there an etiquette that we can help the people that are watching us right now understand and learn?
Well, I can tell you from personal and professional perspective, treating them like you would anybody else. Being sensitive, being kind, showing their value, allowing them to have a place at the table, whatever you want people to do for you, you should do for others. And because again, not every disability, it doesn't mean that person is sitting in a wheelchair. It doesn't mean it's visible. It's oftentimes it's silent. That's definitely if somebody has mental health, concerns and issues. You don't know what that person's navigating or what they need. But if you treat them with kindness and grace and patience, that's what stands out. So I think about my brother and the people who treated him as normal as can be are the people that he longed to be around because that's what he wanted. He understood enough to get what it would be like and what he thought he should be treated as. And as an observer, as his little sister, I also appreciated when they just talked with him. They didn't raise their voice louder because he's in a wheelchair or treat him any differently. And if you find that there is a gap in that communication, that's okay. You back up a little bit and you alter the approach that's sensitive to that individual. And so it's just being aware and being a good human.
Being a good human. And we also talked about sensory overload and mental health, some of those unseen things.
Yes.
And so being aware, because when you're being with someone for the first time, you don't know where they are in the moment, what's happened to them, even since they woke up in the morning.
It's true.
And we're finding that out. Patience and kindness they have a lot to do with that. And do you counsel the family separately from, that they can express their concerns?
Absolutely.
So that.
Yes, absolutely. Education goes a long way. Okay. I think sometimes the greatest scare and concern and anxiety-provoking situation is just not knowing. And if we can provide that education, the training that they need to be actively involved and contributors to the ongoing journey for their loved one, it changes the whole dynamic. And they feel like they have a place and they understand what their role can be. And then also, grieving. And sometimes in family counseling, it's about helping the individual understand their loved one may not be exactly who they were prior, but they're living, they're thriving, and what are their strengths? What are their goals? What will make them tick? What do they love? And those are the things that those family members can rally around and really help to encourage when they have a fundamental understanding. And so again, it goes back to families being involved in therapy sessions. They can be in separate sessions. There's support groups. There's so many opportunities around the community here and statewide. And it's just a matter of knowing about those and understanding that we can help.
Yeah, because it can be very overwhelming because your life can look totally different in just a matter of seconds.
Absolutely.
Or a day or a month and I know that you celebrate. People want to come back and maybe celebrate the anniversary of when they were able to leave Origami and start their lives. And isn't that a really unique thing? Because you stay in touch with the people that you've helped.
I will tell you, it's one of my favorites.
Is it?
It's a cup filler every time.
I bet.
I absolutely love it. And it's It's fun because they're oftentimes, people don't plan on needing us.
No.
There's many individuals listening in right now
Yeah.
who are like, I hope I never need this, hope a loved one, neighbor, nobody needs it. But a lot of people end up needing us unexpectedly. So not everybody wants to come to Origami, even when they need to.
I understand.
And so that's a hard challenge for staff where it's like, no, I'm trying to help you. But
Yes.
they're like, I don't want help. I just want life to be what it used to be.
Thank you for saying that. Yes. Oh, yes. And I can do it in their defense.
Yes.
But we just want to help.
We just want to help.
Yeah.
And that can be for our residential program or our outpatient program. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
And so I love when individuals who really resisted our help, maybe even didn't have the awareness that they do now with life experience post-rehab, who come back and say, hey, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, do they
You
really?
don't need to apologize.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about one in particular
Yeah.
where it was just like, you don't have to apologize. You were at a point in your life where we understood. It wasn't all rosy, and it was hard for you to see the strengths that you still had. But it's really cool that you're now at a place that you see that, and you've been able to progress to that point because you have so much more life to live.
Yes.
And so that is, like I said, a cup filler, and there's so many different scenarios of people coming back for different reasons. And that is just a true testament of the teamwork and the collaboration and that unity that comes together when you're working on the rehab journey.
Oh, yeah, because you have some therapists that focus on small motor skills,
Yes.
verbal skills, emotional skills, big motor skills, all of
it.
that wrapped up together.
Yes.
I really I'm glad. And because when something hard happens to us, we think about how we're different. And of course, because we're human, we think of, oh no, I can't.
That's right.
And that word is it can block a lot of progress. But what you can do and celebrating those small steps like we talked about,
Yes.
and
That's what it's
feeding
about.
yourself for a lot of people is a big deal.
It is.
When they're going through that, I know it was for my friend. And it was just a casual walk. And then all of a sudden you fall, you hit your head, and then you need origami. And you have to be open.
That's a big piece of it. You have to be open. But I will say there's people that aren't open when they first start, but then they start seeing the progress and they're like, oh, hey, I think this is working.
Right.
So they stay with it. So that's always a blessing too, because it ultimately works way better when they're coming to the table motivated and ready, but not everybody is. And we're used to that. We're used to navigating that process and then celebrating that day where the light bulb goes off and they're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that last week when you asked me to do that, but I'm doing it now. So what more can I do?
Right, good. And your brother, I'm sure he celebrated your journey through all these, and and you're proud of him and he's proud of you.
It's a special type of relationship for sure.
Yeah.
Jeff is, to know Jeff is to love Jeff. And so he's definitely Mr. Popular. Whoever knows him, he's first name basis wherever he goes.
Oh, nice.
And I've always just really admired and I've learned from him. I've learned from him in so many ways, but he's definitely grounded me in my roots, the passion that I have as a disability advocate.
Well, you could see it.
Thank you.
So you're growing, I know. Are your plans to do you look at that in like 5-year marks, 10-year marks? How do you look at that expansion? Because the need just gets greater.
The need is so great, and we could grow 100 times over again, and I still don't think that the need is fully fulfilled.
Okay.
The need is that great, which is unfortunate, but also just there's greater understanding that there's help out there. So I think that there's also that awareness of you can get help for this. You don't have to struggle alone. Before Origami, we started as a little, a very little residential home in Mason. We expanded to a large outpatient clinic. So we have residential and outpatient in Mason. Then we opened in 2021 an outpatient clinic over on the west side of Lansing on Marketplace Boulevard.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. We love that location. And then we opened last January 2 locations. One that was very strategic and planned. One that was very organic and just kind of popped up up and was the right opportunity at the right time.
Good.
Things happen for a reason,
Yes,
we
they
were
do.
saying,
Oh, yeah.
and that I feel fully. So last year we became a partner at the nonprofit hub,
Yes.
Origami Greenlawn in South Lansing, and really took advantage of a new space, larger space to be able to serve more children. Being on a bus line at Greenlawn has really changed things of being able to really serve a wide array of individuals in need. And then we also we ventured out of the Lansing area and opened up a outpatient clinic, also serving children and adults in Grand Blanc.
Oh.
So yes, Grand Blanc in the right in the same Genesis Health Park by the hospital there. So we're right attached to the athletic club, and it's a really cool setting as well. And Grand Blanc has been very welcoming, but it's new. We're used to Lansing.
Yes, it's a different. You have a different sense,
It's
right?
a different sense.
Yes, but being here at the hub
Oh,
and serving children, right, with the bus line with their parents that are
huge.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and
significant.
seeing them because they're in school and they're in their
Mm-hmm.
tender years and trying to, and kids can be tough.
Yes.
So learning, I mean, other children,
Yes.
to someone with a disability,
Yeah.
and to try to give that child, that young person, confidence and.
In very sensitive ages, right? Because
Mhm.
those individuals we're serving, it's not really a rehab. They're learning it for their first time. And so we're helping them reach milestones that were never achieved yet. Whereas rehab, we're usually going backwards and helping to retrain the brain. And so we love the kiddos that we get to work with. They're so fun. And they get so genuinely excited when they can do something that they couldn't do before. And seeing, parents get very emotional and seeing, or even hearing their children start to use more words through our speech therapy. Therapies helping them, learn different sounds and, vowels and be able to use more words. So they come in maybe only speaking 3 words to then being able to complete a sentence. And the parents are just overjoyed because they can finally understand what their child is trying to communicate to them. So we have served at Origami Greenlawn since opening last January of 25, nearly 200 children just
Really,
at
Tammy?
this Greenlawn location.
That is phenomenal.
And that's a lot of lives.
That's a lot of lives. That's a
Mhm.
lot of lives. Little people,
Little
and
people.
family lives.
Yes.
And like you said, learning language and to be able to see
Mhm.
a young child be able to communicate and talk for the first time. And it overfills me with emotion. I can't even imagine.
Special.
Very special. And
Yeah.
that will continue to be part of your mission.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Creating opportunities and transforming lives doesn't discriminate. That's our mission. While we have a vision statement and we live and breathe this all the time, and how do we maximize access to care, to innovative services, really with exceptional outcomes. And that's what we're all about, maximizing access, because that job will never be done. But it's our job to really advocate and push and ensure people know where they can go to receive help when they need it. And we're proud to do our part in this community, and in the Genesee County community, to be able to just, one child at a time makes a difference.
It really does. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
We
you.
need you. Keep providing hope for families.
Absolutely.
And we're so grateful. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us on our companion podcast here at Hope in Action. And if you liked what you heard today, please subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to email us at hopeandactionsj@gmail.com. And I hope to see you next time.